The reality is, if you're not posting quality content, then you're just posting stuff that nobody's seeing.
If you just have the right systems in place, if you know how to think about it, it's like a room being messy versus organized.
When you're advertising for an event, you can get multiple posts out of one event. You don't have to start doing everything at once. Start with some simple steps. In this episode, we're talking about how to grow on social without a full-time staff. I know that a lot of municipalities feel like they're falling behind because they don't have a full-time staff, but the reality is that it's not actually a people problem. They really have a systems problem. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about these two crucial systems that you need to have in place in order to create content consistently and more efficiently on social.
Yeah, I think systems is often overlooked. It's like, who's the person who's going to execute it? But then that person is like, well, what is this even, what all does this entail, running social media? There's so many little parts of that job that have to get done. So if you just have the right systems in place, if you know how to think about it, it's like a room being messy versus organized. And now we can just kind of execute and go. So I'll start with the first system. And as you have things that you want to say about this, feel free to interrupt me. But the first system that we feel like you have to have in place, even though you don't have a full-time staff, but you know you have to execute on social media, you want to grow on social media, is the content system. And what we mean by this is when and what will you post? So thinking beforehand what you're going to execute on, thinking beforehand and saying, okay, in the next, let's say 4 to 6 weeks, this is what's coming up and we're going to have a plan. I'm going to have a plan, what we need to create. That's going to help you. And we think about this with things like shot sheets going into an event. Again, that's just pre-planning. You think about what would be great to have videos of or pictures of. All of that done ahead of time is going to make you feel so much more confident with where you're going. So the first part of this content system is choosing your cadence. And with our clients, we even suggest, let's commit to a minimum of 3 posts per week. We've done in the past where if we're ramping up, it's like even just getting 2 out per week is a great place to start. But I think 3 leaves you feeling confident, like we're showing up enough online. There's a cadence that people can respect, but we're also not going to daily content and just pushing stuff out because we feel like we have to push stuff out daily. When you look at the algorithms right now, it's in a place where you do not have to post literally every day. You need to be thinking about quality as well as quantity. So 3 posts per week is sort of our tried and true system to say that that's a good place to be and to feel confident that you can put out 3 posts per week. Anything you want to add on the 3 posts per week and kind of coming up with that cadence for your municipality?
Yeah, no, I think the point that you made of quality over quantity is important because, when you're listening to some of these, social media influencers that talk about, how often you should be posting on social, and you might hear, oh, you need to be posting 5 times a day. But the reality is, if you're not posting quality content, then you're just posting stuff that nobody's seeing.
And it's telling the algorithm, actually, this is a key point on that. If you're posting bad content over and over and over again, the algorithm's like, okay, well, no one liked the last 100 posts you made.
Yeah.
And so you're burying yourself in a deeper and deeper hole.
Exactly.
It actually just to try to go, what would cause people to share this? What would cause people to comment on this? Because if you get those 2 things right on one post, the next post goes out to more people, and then you have some momentum to like build on. And so definitely important to think, yes, we want consistency. Yes, we want to be posting regularly, but we also want quality. And that's where 3 posts per week, you can do that. It's not going to feel like an impossible lift, but you're still showing up consistently for your community. I'm trying to think if there's much more we want to say on that one. Maybe the second piece to this system would just be also the cadence of, even if it's just you running social, setting 2 hours aside per month. I think there's really 2 meetings that you should plan. So if you're a team of 1, set a recurring meeting with yourself to say, once per month, I am going to sit down and I'm going to plan the next 4 to 6 weeks worth of content. And then at the end of every month, have a 60-minute meeting where you go to the back end of these tools like Instagram or Facebook and look at the analytics of what were your top performing posts and what you essentially want to replicate for the next month, or why certain posts flopped and you don't want to do that anymore. But if you could just have those 2 meetings, you're well on your way to implementing this system.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the first meeting I wanna talk a little bit more about, and that's that planning meeting
Mhm.
because it's so crucial, and with our clients, we like to stay, at least a month in advance, maybe 4 to 6 weeks is kind of like a sweet spot, and the good thing is with government entities, your calendar is planned basically for the whole year with
Right.
a lot of your major events prior to the year even starting, so you work in an industry where you have that huge advantage when it comes to creating content. But so you want to stay in that 4 to 6 weeks of planning ahead of time. And the good thing about this too is that it gives you time to be intentional about your posts. So you're not the worst thing is that when you're scrambling last minute to try to just get a post together, then it always lacks in quality, whether that's the video, the photo, or you don't even have time to do that now. You just have to post a graphic or just put text up. When you're scrambling to get something done, quality always lacks. So having that time to plan just helps you organize to say, okay, these are the photos that I need this month. These are the videos that I want to have. These are the graphics that we need designed. It just gives you that freedom to get all of that stuff done and to do it well.
Yeah, and if you have an hour, you could segment that hour into a few different, uh, areas, like looking at, okay, to your point, what are the upcoming events? We've known that for a long time, but we're gonna make sure that we're good for the next 4 to 6 weeks and highlighting what those upcoming events are. Maybe there's seasonal moments, maybe there's department updates that you're gonna collect, and you're gonna put all of these into a scheduling software. So back in the day with the first few content calendars I made, this is 10 plus years ago, it was literally like pulling up an iCal using Apple's calendar and just placing events on different days and going, this is what we're going to post on these days. Now there's software like CloudCampaign, Hootsuite, Sprout Social, where you can actually go in before you have the pictures taken, before you have the video content and say, for next month, on the 13th, we're posting this video. On the 18th, we're posting this photo. We're going to talk about this event promo on the 19th and placing all those in there ahead of time before you get the shots to go, this is what we're going to need. It's going to be super helpful because you're going to ask people for help. You're not going to be able to do this all alone, but you want to have that content calendar with everything mapped out. Also, in that hour, as you're mapping this out, you can realize, okay, if I'm trying to hit 3 posts per week, maybe you don't have enough events this month. Maybe that's an exciting moment for you to go, we're actually going to try to get more like fun, engaging posts out this month. Or we're going to do a did you know post where we tell people about something in the community, a landmark or something in our city that many people maybe don't know about, but they drive past every day. So those types of posts fill in gaps for you where you can increase engagement, but maybe you're not just giving an announcement away. So you want that time in that hour to actually think through different types of posts and mix it up, not just get out, oh, this is, you know, these 5 events are happening and we have to promo these 5 events. It's creative think time.
Yep. Yeah, yeah, that's good. And so talking about events, I think that's something that a lot of people don't necessarily think about is that when you're advertising for an event, you can get multiple posts out of one event.
Well, you've seen so many municipalities mess this up.
Yeah, so it's like, say you've got an Easter egg hunt event that's
Mhm.
coming up. You don't just post about it one time, the flyers going up, maybe a week before, and then that's it. When you're advertising an event on social, we tend to follow what we call like the 37-1 rule. So 30 days out from an event, you should post the initial thing advertising that event. Then when you're about 7 days out, you can put up another post. So maybe the first one was, a photo from last year's event.
Mhm.
Maybe the flyer for the event if you absolutely have to do that, even though
Please try not to.
try not to use photos and videos. And then, 7 days out, you put up another post. Maybe, you did a photo the first time, maybe this one's a video. Maybe, you decide, hey, let's, try to use a little bit of comedy to advertise this
Mhm.
event to build some more engagement around it. And then once you're either, like the day before or either day of, you put out another post about it. Something that we actually like to do with our clients on the day of the event, as things are getting set up in the background, actually going out there and doing a Facebook Live
Mhm.
where you have somebody on camera talking about it. Everyone that's watching can see the event getting set up in the background. And the good thing about a Facebook Live as well is that when you go live on Facebook, it sends out notifications to the people that follow your page that, so and so is live. So that helps even drive more eyeballs, seeing that video as you're live with it.
Yeah. Facebook Live can get slept on and people don't realize that that notification goes out. So as long as you use it for important things, it's a really easy way for people to be like, "Oh, that's interesting. They're live. Let me just see what they're doing real quick." So, good way of switching it up. I think you want to keep all of those posts engaging. And then realistically, if you think about it, you have all three posts in the lead up and then you have a post afterwards.
Yep.
That's a you know, maybe you took really good photos and people are going to want to go to your Facebook page and they're going to want to see, am I in some of those photos? But having a post afterwards that really recaps it and celebrates what that event was is a really, I think it's overlooked. A lot of times Facebook gets treated like a bulletin board. We need people to come to this event. We need people to come to this event. So you're shouting at people. And then in reality, what people would engage with in the lead up is probably, like you were saying, some more of those like comedic type posts or photos from last year and a recap where people see either what they missed out on or what they got to be a part of.
Yeah, so for every event, you
4.
could be getting at least 4 posts from every event that you have.
That's good. Okay, so we've talked about the first system. The second system is the capture system. So now that you have your content locked in and you're like, okay, we have a plan for the next, let's call it 30 to 45 days, we need to make sure that we're going to capture this content. And what happens is you can, if you're a team of one, you can be like, okay, well, now I need to get all these photos and videos and graphics done. And I am feeling massively overwhelmed to hit this target of 3 posts per week. You don't have to take literally every photo and video. You just needed to have the plan. Now, what we would say is that every department can contribute and then you can just be in charge of publishing.
Yeah.
So if you know that you're going to need something from Public Works, if you know you're going to need something from the fire department, like go to them and give them an assignment essentially for, hey, can you take a photo when you're out at this thing? Can you do a quick video? And we've done this several times, but I don't know if like right now for you, any examples come to mind of ways that we've sort of done this or assignments we've given people, but I feel like we do this, consistently.
I think what you said is about, what you need, just communicate that. I
Yes.
think that's important.
Yeah.
And when you have that planned, you're able to do that. So telling a public works department, hey, if there's a water main break, take a quick photo or take even just like a panning video where you can actually see what that looks like. One, because it is actually interesting to even see because a lot of people
Right.
don't know what that really looks like or what does it look like in the street, when a water main is broken and you just see the water flooding up, through the storm sewers or whatever. So one, visually, it actually is cool to see. But then two, it's also way more engaging than, just a text notification that says water main break on this street, road closed. So when you have something that is more visual, it helps get the word out because people are actually seeing that content. Now, some other things that you can encourage departments to capture, maintenance tasks, police and fire community interactions, parks and rec events, staff moments, before and after photos for
Yep.
projects. People love to see that because they love to see improvements happening in their community. Even like equipment and infrastructure, equipment, made me think of another public works example. But last winter, we spoke to one of our clients, to the Parks and Rec director, because it was like kind of the first big snowfall of the year.
Mhm.
And so we wanted to talk about, the different parking regulations in the community during snowfall. So he was out there and I told him, hey, take your iPhone out and just get a quick video of the plow trucks driving down the street. So simply that's all he did. We put, a little bit of music behind it, some pump up music just to make it entertaining. And we put that post out and it got really, really good engagement.
Yeah.
Way better than it would have if, you're just putting up a simple text or graphic reminder, about snow removal.
It's so simple because you have the plan 4 to 6 weeks in advance. Some of those things will come up in the moment, but it's just a text message. It's just, hey, can you get a quick photo of this? Can you get a quick video of this? I think the other part is you can give pointers to different departments.
Yeah.
So that might be something simple. We've done we have like a pretty formal shot sheet at this point that we've developed, where it's like, if you're going to go to an event or if we're going to send a photographer somewhere, we really want like this whole list. But you could do something like, hey, here's 5 examples of like a quick iPhone video that look good, 5 photos that look good. You could send your team episode 5 of this little mini series that we've recorded where we talk about shooting better photo and video on an iPhone. That would be an easy way to sort of encourage better photography and videography for your team, from your team. But ultimately, this is just going to be a trial, and you're just going to give people an assignment. You're going to see what they give you back. You're going to give them some feedback, and then it just becomes a loop. But you don't have to post the raw fit photo either. You could do some slight tweaks and edits from your phone, and I promise the quality can be there really, really easily and quickly. This episode is brought to you by City Social. Our team helps towns just like yours show up confidently online. And we know that local governments face huge demands and often have limited staff. That's why we step in as a partner to help you handle strategy, design, and posting, all tailored for municipal communication. We're a team with 10 plus years of government communication experience. We've served more than 80 communities and have reached more than 2 million residents through our partnerships. So if you're ready to transform how your residents see and engage with you online, visit citysocialms.com and book a call now. All right, let's jump back into the show.
So another piece that I want to hit on really quickly, though, is how to store all this stuff that you're getting from people.
Oh yeah, you don't want a bunch of text messages, there's photos back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. Then it just gets cluttered on your phone. Then you're, trying to scroll back to look for something, if you, have something from last year that you want to use. So we definitely encourage people to use some kind of, online storage database, whether that's, Google Photos or Dropbox or iCloud even, but just have a dedicated spot to where, you share those folders with the different department heads and they can just upload them right from their phone, directly there. That way it's in one spot, it's organized, it's easy to find anytime that you need it.
I do think there's some specific times when it is actually helpful to bring in a professional. So we work with a lot of freelance photographers and videographers. We'll even work with towns where we're not doing all their social media, but we're just going and taking photos and videos because certain events are just too important to have someone using their iPhone. And we all know there's several of those types of things every year that we could just go, yeah, we probably want to allocate a little bit of budget for this, and we want to send somebody who is a professional to this event. That can seem a little daunting if you don't have relationships with photographers or videographers. It can kind of feel like we don't even know where to start. So you've done this a bunch. Curious what your take would be on even how to find that kind of creative help.
Yeah. Yeah. So, there's definitely places to go, even just online, whether that's like local Facebook groups that are dedicated to photographers or videographers. You can look in those things, put a post up, hey, we're looking for somebody to cover, these types of events. And you'll likely get a lot of feedback from local people, just doing something like that.
Yeah.
Using other socials like, Instagram.
Instagram hashtags is actually really helpful for local hashtags. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then, even Google searches or, even talking to people that
Yes.
So there's so many photographers and especially photographers, but videographers as well, that, chances that somebody on your staff probably knows somebody that does take photos. So even just simply doing that, is not a bad thing to do. Before you hire them, a lot of them have portfolios that are online. So you can look at their website and see what some of their photos look like. Another tip would be, maybe before you hire somebody for a really big event, hire them to come out and do something smaller, or even just come and take photos around your town. Because then one, you can test out to see, if you like their quality of work and what it is like working with them. And then two, you have those good photos from around your town that you could use for other things.
Posts.
Yeah. And so, when you find a photographer that you like and you're considering hiring, I would say don't be turned off by, the price that they might put on their website, because a lot of times they are willing to negotiate those things.
Right.
So on their website, they might say, oh yeah, we charge $400 an hour, to come out to your event and do photos. But when you're talking with them, especially in this situation where it's like you have the ability to build a long-term relationship. This isn't just a one-off event. If you guys like working with each other, you have several events throughout the year that you might be looking to hire somebody for. So you talk to them about that, and, they might be willing to negotiate because of that. Another thing is that, sometimes when you need people to come out for things, it's during the week. Maybe it's an event that's like, on a weeknight or something where a lot of photographers get busy on weekends, but a lot of them don't have a lot going on during the week. So they also might be willing to, negotiate their price and give you a cheaper rate that way.
Mhm. It's always a discussion, and you do wanna build that long-term relationship. So, yeah, don't just be like don't end it too early,
Yeah.
but choose to go in and also make it beneficial for them. If it would benefit them to maybe tag them when you post and say that these photos were taken by this photographer, that can be an easy way for them to sort of get some free marketing, and maybe they're willing to discount you a little bit because you're, giving them that credit. So I definitely encourage finding a photographer that you trust. I love the tip of starting with a very low stakes sort of just go around town and take some photos. And obviously, we're checking their portfolio. We're making sure that their past work is stuff that we would be excited about and proud of.
Yeah, and the last thing that I'll say about it, and this is kind of getting more into the budget side, but a lot of times you think that, I've got a 3-hour event. And so, if I've got to pay this photographer, $200 an hour to come out to it, that's going to cost me $600. And I don't know, like, that's kind of out of our budget. We don't want to spend $600 on photos at
Right.
this event. But most good photographers, you really would only need to come to for maybe about an hour of that event, and they're going to be able to capture everything that they need to highlight that event.
Yeah.
They don't need to be there for 3 hours. So don't think about it as if they've got to be there the whole time. Have them come out for 45 minutes or an hour, and that's going to be plenty of time for them to get what they need.
Yeah. Really important to ask for any freelancers that you work with to give you those photos the same day. So if you work with a freelance photographer, just make it part of the agreement that after this event, please send us those photos because we're going to want to get them up as quickly as possible. Video, I like to give people a little bit longer, a few days, up to a week, depending on how busy they are. But you want the quicker the better, obviously, for turnaround times on all of those things. So, and then I think the last part is people may be like, what would be a good range for us to budget? And to that, we would honestly say it's going to vary drastically depending on where you are in the country, how many photographers you have access to. There's a lot of factors. So start discussions. And I think to your point, ask a few people who may have warm leads, photographers that are already in your network, just to get a sense of pricing. And when you get multiple quotes, like anything, it's going to make you feel comfortable with like, okay,
Yeah.
it's generally in this range.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've worked with photographers who are essentially all over the map when it comes to pricing.
It
I think it would be also helpful to take this to another level and to think through, all right, can you grow on social as a one person team? Yes. If you implement the systems we've talked about so far in this episode, you will grow on social media and you'll be able to do it yourself. There is, though, a time and a place to hire outside help and to go, okay, we are a small team and we are going to get people who are actually professionals, right? So the things that we run into all the time is that people don't have the time and they don't have the expertise. So maybe you feel like, okay, I kind of have the time, but do I really want to dedicate the hours needed to get the expertise in order to do this? There's agencies out there who this is literally like what they do. This is what we do.
Yeah.
And so how would you know if it's time to work with an agency? And I think there's some simple diagnostic questions you can ask to go, maybe it's time to find a partner who can do social media essentially for us. And so we've bucketed this into 4 different areas. And it's really just questions. It's up to you as you're watching it to ask these questions to yourself and sort of assess. And we'll have these questions also available on our website, citysocialms.com. So you can find them there too, to really know, like, is it time to hire an agency or time to hire a firm to help us? But help us out with this first one.
Yeah, so the first kind of category that we talk about is consistency and capacity. So the first question we have is social media one of the many responsibilities on someone's plate? So if someone's already doing a million things and this is just another task that they have to do, they're not going to do it well. Nobody, that doesn't have the time or really desire to do it is going to do a good job with it. The second question is, do posts only happen when someone has time?
Right.
And finally, have you gone more than a week without posting more than once this year?
Hmm.
Because as we've talked about, so much about doing well on social is staying consistent. So if you don't have the capacity for it, if you don't have the time to do it, and it's already shown that, just in this last year with going, at least a week without posting, it shows that, maybe you should be looking to hire somebody else.
Yeah. So we have consistency and capacity questions, then we have content quality questions. And the questions here that you should ask yourself are most of your posts flyers? Do they have stock images in them, or are they text heavy announcements? That's a red flag to us. You want to make sure that you're avoiding the flyers and the stock images. The second one under content quality is, do you rarely have fresh photos or videos from around town? So if it feels very daunting to hire a freelancer photographer to come in, it would probably be easier for you to just find an agency who can just go ahead and do that. And then the last one on this one is, does your page lack a consistent look, feel, or voice? When we start working with a client, we are helping them establish their tone and their look online. We want to humanize that municipality, and that can take some work. And so if you're not showing up in a consistent way online, or if branding seems like something out of left field to you that you've never worked on before, it might be time to get somebody to help.
So the next category of questions is strategy and systems. So the first question is, do you struggle to plan content more than a few days ahead of time? When you're scrambling to get photos or videos or to write content, the quality of that post is just going to continue to suffer. So you want to, if you don't have the time to plan ahead of time, then, maybe you're looking at bringing somebody else on. Next question is there no clear system for capturing photos/videos across departments? And I would say that this is probably the thing that is the biggest struggle
Yeah.
for municipalities, is to get quality content. So if you don't have a system, if you don't have the time to do it, maybe you want to bring somebody else on. And the last one is, do important updates sometimes go out late or not at all? So again, this is, looking at the way that you put
Just look at
content
your
out.
track
Do it.
record.
Yeah. Look at your track record. If you're seeing, maybe we're really struggling to get stuff out in a timely manner,
Yeah.
then, you might need some help.
Yeah, if residents can't rely on you for those important community updates, and you find yourself going, "Oh, we should have made a post about that,"
Yeah.
or you get a comment where someone's like, "Hey, what's happening with this?" It's like, "Oh yeah, you're probably not ahead of the game, and you need to consider this." Okay, so we had 4 sections, kind of 4 questions or 3 questions under each: consistency and capacity, content quality. You just hit on strategies and systems, and then to end this episode, we have 3 more questions under engagement and public perception. Do residents often feel uninformed or frustrated by lack of communication? Sort of what I just was talking about. The second one is misinformation spreading faster than your official updates, which would be, do people go to that Facebook group faster than they go to your Facebook page? And then the last one is, do your posts consistently get low engagement regardless of topic? So we're taking a holistic look at the Facebook page. We're getting real with ourselves about our time or lack thereof. And then we're going to proceed with deciding on, if it's time to get outside help. It's a lot of questions, so maybe you need to see them written out, not just Kevin and I talking about them. If you would like to see these questions written out, they are on our website, citysocialms.com. And we have free resources because we really believe that towns need to be active on social media. We do believe Facebook is the front door to your town, to your municipality. So if you would like an idea bank of 150 plus ideas, you can go to the website and you can find that there. It's a free resource. You can find our guide to social media for municipalities with some of the frameworks that we've talked about over the last 6 episodes. And anything else that you want to say as we wrap up this series, this 6 episodes? It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. First of all, it's been great. Thanks for doing this. And I would say that for the municipalities out there, this is a lot of information that we've covered. There's a lot of ways that I'm sure you're looking at your social media presence right now and saying, man, we've got a lot of work to do. There's a lot we can do to improve. And yeah, that might be true, but you don't have to start doing everything at once. So
Yeah.
just start with some simple steps. Maybe this month it's just about, I'm just going to take that first 1 hour meeting to try to plan some content, and you just let it build from there. So don't feel like you've got to, just jump into everything, all at one time. Just take those simple steps. And yeah, I mean, and also then realize that, maybe we realize we don't have the time to do this. I don't have the time or desire even to set aside with learning these things, because even though we're trying to break it down simply for you, it still is going to take a lot of time and a lot of commitment to really do it well.
Right.
So be honest with yourself and say, hey, maybe we need to look at, either hiring somebody else on or working with an agency to help us do some of this stuff.
That's great. Well, that concludes our series. We want to say thank you for watching, and most importantly, thank you for the work that you do.